friends. You're live.
We're live.
Yay.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or wherever you are in the world. This is DJ Hamouris from Dulcimoon, and I have with me this morning Carolyn Brodginski. I am so excited that we get to talk. I haven't seen you for months. You've been here.
I know.
And it's been really wonderful to continue our connection after we were at Dulcimer U way back before the pandemic.
2019,
just before it all shut down, huh?
Yep.
So Carolyn is a singer, songwriter. She plays mountain dulcimer. I see the harp in the background and other instruments. We'll talk about that in a minute. And also is a certified music practitioner. So, and just an all-around great person, helping out with Send in the Music, which has been a lifesaver for so many dulcimer players. It's been really great. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Tell everybody where you are.
I am in Marlborough, Connecticut. So just about 20 miles southeast of Hartford, the capital of Connecticut. Mm-hmm. So beautiful day out here. Not the kind of heat people are having in Florida, Arizona. It's about 90 degrees, which is not terrible. I can deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's where I am.
That's great.
Not the dulcimer capital of the world, Connecticut.
No, not the dulcimer capital. Though isn't Sam Edelson in Connecticut?
He is. And he and myself, and when Melanie Johnston was here, we're creating dulcimer enthusiasts one person at a time.
That's great.
Different ways.
That's the way to do it.
Yes. Yep.
So we like to know, because we're shining a light on the women in the dulcimer community, we like to know about any women musicians or teachers who have influenced you or helped you along your dulcimer journey and your musical journey. So I'd love to hear about any of those folks that you can recollect.
There are so many. My musical journey, it actually starts with my mom, who decided that when I was in third grade, I was going to do a solo in our church's variety show. And it kind of went from there. I started playing guitar a couple years later. And that was my main instrument. My musical influences, Joan Baez, Linda Ronstadt. I love Joni Mitchell, but I couldn't sing like her, so she wasn't really on my radar. If she had been, I would have discovered the dulcimer a lot sooner. But it wasn't until 1980 when an old boyfriend said, "You've got to come see this woman who plays this instrument called the mountain dulcimer." And it was Sally Rogers. And she was playing in Connecticut at a coffee house. At that point, she was still living in Michigan. And I fell in love with her and the dulcimer. And I said, I have to play this instrument. Unfortunately, there was no internet, no way to find one. Never mind someone who knew how to play in this area. So that went on the back burner for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then 11 years ago, I saw something in the local paper that there was a dulcimer gathering happening once a month in the next town over at the library, and Melanie Johnston was running it.
Oh my goodness.
So that's those three women there that have had a lot to do with my musical journey, specifically my dulcimer journey with Sally and Melanie. Mm-hmm. And then the people that were at that first jam, I had no idea what I was doing, but I was so excited. I had a dulcimer that I'd made from a kid. I had no idea what to do with it. And I sat down next to this woman who was a regular there, Jane Mazzata. I don't know if you're watching, Jane, but she took me right under her wing and she said, "This is how tab works and this is what you do." And by the end of the thing, I was kind of playing. And then, I started going to festivals and meeting the most amazing people are in the dulcimer community, the kindest, the most unselfish, the most supportive people I've ever met.
I
Um,
absolutely agree 100%.
yeah, and not to be biased or anything, but most of them are women.
Yep.
There are many fine male players,
Right.
but the majority seems to be women. And other influences, you know, Pat Clark with Send in the Music has done so much for the dulcimer and for me. Lori Alsabrook is another one. She's a huge cheerleader for the
Mhm.
dulcimer community, and you DJ and Aaron and all that you guys do. And it's just like this tsunami of love and support for the music, the instrument.
Yeah.
So that's my story,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm sticking with it.
But one of the things that really impressed me when I went out to Dulcimer U was, first of all, you walked up to me to introduce yourself, and we'd become Facebook friends. I only started to do Facebook because I was trying to, for professional reasons. And so you played dulcimer, so we became friends on Facebook, of course, and you came up and introduced yourself to me, and I was really glad to meet one of these faces, right, from Facebook.
Yep.
And then you impressed the heck out of me when you got up on the little open mic section and you played your tune.
Mountain
What
Jane
is it?
Doe.
Mountain Jane
Mountain
Doe.
Jane Doe. Yeah.
Haunting,
Yeah.
haunting,
I was in a
chills up my spine. And you played the band jammer with it, which was amazingly perfect for that tune.
I that's an amazing true story.
That's what you said.
Yes, about a murder that took place in 1969. They found a body that had been there for quite a while. So they couldn't identify it. They couldn't identify because they couldn't identify the victim. They couldn't figure out who could have done it. So it was this unsolved murder for many years. But I'd heard this story on NPR, and I'm listening, and I'm like, I got to write a song about this. So it took me a few months with that one. And then I'd finish it. So that was like in January. So I had it done by the time I went to Dulcimer U in July. I said, that's going to be my open stage song. And when I got there, I met Mike Clemmer, and he had these band jammers. I said, that's the instrument that I have to play the song. So I bought it that day and I played that that night.
How immediate.
But it's a
Wow.
dulcimer. It's a dulcimer. And whatever, if I play that with in public with my band,
Mhm.
I come. I always have many instruments with me. I'm like, this is so cool because I got to play the banjo, but I didn't have to learn how to play the banjo. I play it like a dulcimer, but it sounds just like a banjo. I love that thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
So
fun.
there's the video of you doing that performance actually is available. Is it on YouTube?
It's on my YouTube channel.
On your YouTube channel. So
Mhm.
that would be the website is
If you go to my website, carolynbrodginski.com, there's a link to my YouTube channel.
okay. So Erin Mae is in the background as she usually is when she's not interviewing, and she makes sure all these links happen on the YouTube chat.
She's a
So we
production
can,
support.
yes, production support. I need that tech manager, man, especially today. Here, this is our first one on live on YouTube. So thank you for helping us break that barrier.
Sure, sure. Congratulations. It's really easy.
Yeah, it's much easier than I thought.
Mhm.
Anyhow, that's so you write more music than just that one amazing piece.
Yeah, I
Talk to me about your songwriting.
I wrote a couple songs when I was like 19, 20, and then I stepped away from music for many years. A family, young kids, different priorities, a career. I didn't really have time. Um, and then things changed. And around 2011, I started getting back into music, not the dulcimer at the time, but the guitar, playing at an open mic, starting a band, and I started writing songs. And I'm shocked. I'm like, I'm not a songwriter. I'm not a songwriter. Um, but I think life experiences, doing so much music, singing so many songs, you get a feel for how to say things musically, how to phrase. The more music you do, the more you get a feel for that, I think. Um, so I don't write a ton. I mean, maybe a few a year. The percussionist in my band, oh my gosh, he writes at least a couple songs a month. Prolific, and a lot of them are very, very good. So it's the songwriting process is interesting, and I never thought I could do a set of music that's just all originals, all my originals. So, and I'm now being invited to be a feature performer at showcases for songwriters, which is really nice. And then I could do my own
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
And when, you know, I play with the band, you know, the band's like, oh, we need to do cover tunes. People like to hear music they know. Well, we started interjecting our own songs and we play them at enough. We look out in the audience, people are singing our songs, and it's such
Isn't
a
it?
thrill. It's really nice. Yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
people start requesting their favorites of your songs. Yes.
Yes, they do. It's
Yeah.
really fun.
It's
It's really
really
fun.
sweet. So some of your songs have worked into a new project of yours, right? The ballads.
Yes,
Talk about
yes.
that.
So I released a book of tab. It's ballads. It's called Play Us a Story. Um, and it's a collection of ballads that go as far back as the 16th century, right through current ballads, four of which are ones that I've written. And one is a current one that I got permission from uh, a storyteller and songwriter who lives in Canada. Um, it's a song that I came across of his about 10 years ago that I just loved. So he gave me permission to tab it for this and to share it.
That's great.
So, so yeah, so four of my Mountain Jane Doe is in it because that's a ballad.
Mhm.
You know, ballads are
Yeah.
stories. They're juicy, they're dark. There are some happy ballads. I wrote a ballad, I guess it's a ballad for my daughter's, the toast for my daughter's wedding.
Aw.
She loves, she's always loved mermaids. And last September she married her fiance, who's not much taller than she is. She's 5 feet even. He has red hair and he likes to wear green. Need I say more? So the song is The Mermaid and the Leprechaun. And it's a song about their journey, their story. It's their story. So it's a story, it's a ballad. Um, I wrote a song about Molly Stark, a Revolutionary War hero's wife who was more famous than her husband. Um, so it's been, you know, it's nice. So I'm sharing these, you know, these songs that I've written.
Right. And the old ballads really help to inform current inspiration as well.
Yes.
To
Yes.
there's so many lines that are repeated actually from one ballad to another.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, that just falls off the lips, you know.
Well, it's funny because you know, it used to bother me. It's like, well, when if I wrote a song, it's like, oh, but I said that same thing in a song I wrote 10 years ago, which just recently happened. But
Mhm.
that happens all the time. You know,
Yeah.
there's melody lines, there's references to things, and there's actual lines.
Mhm.
You know, I wrote a song 10 years ago about a local cafe and we all go there to play. And, you know, those aren't the exact words, but those are the rhymes. And I used the same rhymes in a song that I've just written about an open mic. Both were about an open mic, but the
Yeah.
story is completely different.
Right. Right.
So,
And that's what matters.
yeah. So at first I'm like, oh, but I'm like, I'm okay with that.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's a different story.
Yeah.
But what I love about ballads, it's like they were the soap operas of the day, right?
Penny Dreadfuls.
Yeah.
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 You
The
know about
stuff
Penny
that went on
Dreadfuls?
in them. Oh my gosh.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Very, very shockingly graphic.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Some might even be rated R today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. An awful lot
Or
of
not.
infidelity and murder going on
Yes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I love ballads.
Well, moving from murder ballads to um, the healing music,
Ah,
consciously healing music and the practice thereof. Talk
yeah.
about that.
Well, that's actually that brings up another woman that inspired me. The first Dulcimer festival I went to was in Albany, New York, and I went to a workshop on music and healing. And Bonnie Lee gave that workshop, and she was something called a CMP, a certified music practitioner. She talked about what she did. She talked about the program, and I said, I want to do this. And at the time, I was still working full time in my, my other career. Um, and I looked into where I could take the classes. You had to travel. I'm like, I still had, my kids were still in high school, and I'm like, I can't do. I'm still working full time. They were given on the weekends, but I didn't think I could do it. And a year later, um, my boss talked to me and talked about the power of music, which he was preaching to the choir. He didn't have to tell me, but I think I'd forgotten how
Mhm.
powerful music is
Mhm.
and how it reaches people that are so lost physically, mentally. Um, so I looked into uh, getting a degree in music therapy, which is different. Music
Mhm.
therapy, it's oftentimes it's a master's program.
Right.
Um, it's and it's taught at a university. Um, Therapeutic music, the certification I got is through an organization called the Music for Healing and Transition Program, MHTP. MHTP.org is their website.
Mhm.
And they offer, it's 5 classes, 5 modules, and they're given over weekends. Now they're given remotely, but back then you had to travel.
Right.
It was 80 classroom hours. You had to read, there was a list of required reading. You could pick books from that for before each module, you had to read 2 books, write a review on them. Um, you had to attend the classes. You were taught to play appropriately for 5 different patient conditions. And you're taught how to assess patients for those conditions. You're taught hospital etiquette. Um, you have to do a recording at the end that displays that you can play seamlessly from one style of that music to the next.
Got
You
it.
have to do a 45-hour practicum, and you have to take a final exam.
Wow.
So, as a music therapist, you could open a private practice and be a therapist and help people, with their daily problems. You can use music as a tool to help them. Music therapists are also used in a medical setting. Um, but I am not a music therapist. I cannot open a practice doing that. It's it's all about the music.
Right.
It's all about the music and healing. And the idea that healing doesn't always mean eradicating some type of ailment or illness. There's healing and dying.
Mhm.
And one of the patient conditions we have is someone who's actively dying, and you play for those people.
Mhm.
And um, I could go on about experiences I've had. Um, it was the most amazing work I've ever done, and I did it for 4 years until COVID hit. I did it 3 days a week at a hospital here in Hartford, and they never brought it back. They never brought it back. I would contact them, and they're not ready to bring it back. So now I'm playing once a month at a memory care facility, which is fine. They have different levels of different degrees of memory failure or memory ability or
Right.
inability. So I go from, they call it neighborhood to neighborhood, and I'll start at one. And some of these people, you don't think you're reaching them. I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then someone who's been pacing will stop and come down and sit next to me and just stare at the dulcimer. I'm like, I've reached that person.
Yeah.
And then I go to the next screen and people are singing, and they may be asking me the same question over and over, but I don't care. They're having so much fun, and so am I.
Yeah.
So what I loved about the hospital was the variety of patient conditions that I saw. I played for infants who were born 30 minutes before I walked in the room. I played for, joint replacement, heart failure, people getting, cancer infusions, people actively dying. So it was all over the spectrum. So it gave me a lot of, I could use those skills that I learned a lot more. What do I play now? What style of music? What is the patient? How are they presenting? So it was, I don't know that will come back, but I'm also a member of the care team at my church. And so I will play for members of our congregation, either at home or if they're in the hospital. I'll do that. So, and like I said to you before, I play at church, not every Sunday, but and people, with what's going on in the world, people need healing. And the songs that I pick, the song I played this Sunday, Heaven in My Mind, Sarah Kate Morgan's song, beautiful, beautiful. It's just what people needed. It's so beautiful. So many people came up. Sarah Kate, I don't know if you're watching, but people love your song. So do I. So that's another way to heal. So I'm not doing it in the hospital setting anymore, but if the opportunity comes up, I would do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I know from folks that are chaplains and other people who do music therapy, we talked to Lorinda Jones not long ago, and she did do and is doing the music therapy, as well as her teaching and everything else. She's got her fingers in lots of pies. But I've done some of those memory care units and nursing homes and stuff, and you don't know what you're walking into.
Right.
But the connections that you can make, it reaffirms our humanity. I really feel that the arts are part of the way that we can disengage from all of the stress of our culture and just be present. And whether it's making it or observing it, listening to it, allowing your heart and mind to open enough to experience it. There's it's worth every bit of money you can pay for it, and you also get some of those moments where that's not even a factor. It's just a moment.
Yeah.
And those stick with you, don't they?
Yes, and it puts things in perspective, I think.
Yes.
So
they say that hearing is one of the last senses to leave us. So
a lot of people said, well, I don't think he can hear. I think he's asleep, or she. I'm like, they can hear. Hear. So
yeah.
And the dulcimer was the perfect instrument. The instrument of choice in the program I went through was the harp, which I never thought I'd play. But I was much happier carrying her dulcimer around the hospital than a 34-string Celtic harp. and people didn't know what the dulcimer was.
Right.
So I would walk into the room, and I like I said, I didn't carry it in the case. I wore it like a banner, and I would, introduce myself and say, would you like some soothing music? And some people would say no. And as I walked out of the room, I would hear, well, what is that? So all I had to do was drag my finger across those 3 strings, and I would hear, oh, that's so soothing. And I was in.
Yeah.
So yeah, introduced the dulcimer to a lot of people. I called it spreading the dulcimer gospel, which I love to do.
Yeah. So what are you doing in the dulcimer world this year?
Oh my gosh. Well, I taught in Albany, the Albany Festival in March. I just taught at Sky Valley in Georgia, very fun little retreat. Next Saturday I leave. My husband and I get back in the car. We do another road trip. We're going down to Cullowhee, and I'm going to teach at Dulcimer U, where I was a student 2 years ago in the teaching program, 2018 and 2019. So I'm really excited to go back there.
That's fantastic.
I am teaching. I have a monthly group that meets at a senior center a couple towns over. I've been working with them a year and a half, and they weren't progressing really far. And I'm seeing this as a reflection on my teaching skills.
Hmm.
They don't practice.
Yeah.
So I asked them at our last, we're take the summer off at the last class. I said, "Are you guys enjoying this?" They're like, "This is great. We love this." I'm like, "Okay." So, but I send them little emails every once in a while. Practice, practice. So, and um, these requests dribble in. People around the state here that I teach. Somebody that's local. Just heard from her. She wants to start playing. Um, so I do that. I play the dulcimer when I go to the memory care facility. I played at my church. I play it in my band,
Talk about your
which is
band.
pretty cool. Um, Originally the band was guitar, fiddle, percussion, bass, and then I said, what if we introduced the dulcimer for a few songs? And again, people are like, "What is that?" So, and I'll never forget, we did some videos and shared them on Send in the Music, and it was a band doing 3 songs with the dulcimer, and Tug Glasner posted in the chat, "A dulcimer leading a rock band." We're not a rock band, but he said, "A dulcimer leading a rock band. Awesome." So that's been fun. Lately, and when everything shut down, I decided I had to do something musically different. So I taught myself to play the harp. Um, so I'm now introducing that with the band as well. We do a few songs with the harp on indoor gigs. We don't play bars, we don't play restaurants. We do summer outdoor concerts, and then we do indoor listening rooms. And the indoor listening rooms is where I bring the harp.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun.
How is the band adjusting to the concept of the dulcimer and the harp then?
They like it. They like it. It gives us this whole other dimension, and it makes us different. There's
Yes.
a lot of Americana type bands out there playing, acoustic music. There's nobody out there, not many, with a harp or a dulcimer.
And
And
it's because of you.
well,
There you
and
go.
I get bored. I got bored. I'm like, tired of playing this guitar. What if we did something different? We do an arrangement of Eleanor Rigby with the harp. It's so
Oh
cool.
my.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Are
And
these
it's
are any of these recorded and on your website?
no.
You got to get on
we
that.
we need to do that. I did just post there's a song, an instrumental that I wrote. It's called Sherry's Diamonds, that it did appear in Dulcimer Player News.
Mhm.
And the recording, it's a duet that I did with the harp and the dulcimer.
Oh,
And I just posted that on my YouTube channel.
okay.
So it's
So Dulcimer Players News. We were talking about this before we went on, and how it's now Ashley Ernst has turned it over to Fiona Potts,
hmm
and which is really exciting to have it continue. And yeah, the last issue was really something with your article around your ballads book.
hmm
And there's, if you don't subscribe to Dulcimer Players News, go to dpnews.com and subscribe, because they were going to stop, but she found a good person to come on. And a lot of what they offer is recordings of dulcimer artists. So you're saying that a recording of your song is on the DP News list?
Sherry's Sherry's Diamonds was in an issue last year,
Okay, cool. Okay,
in one of the songs. And they used to do a companion CD, and
right,
then she switched to digital downloads.
right, right.
So it's in, I can't remember which edition it was.
Okay, well, we'll do some research and put it in the chat afterwards, or
Mhm.
maybe Erin Mae is doing that now.
Yeah.
Uh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's really great that the DP News is continuing. It helps us to communicate things that are happening across the dulcimer community. It was the same issue that had the article about your ballads, was also an article about our first Dulcimoon Festival. And Erin Mae and I both wrote pieces about that. And Ashley was kind enough to give it 3 whole pages. It was really exciting. So there's so much going on in the DP News, and it's really worth supporting. I don't know what the new subscription rates have been, but it's under $40 for 4 a year, and that includes the recordings. And you get tablature and lots of resources, information about people who are teaching online or festivals, all of that stuff. Plus they have a festival directory and a club directory. So these are all, so many great resources are available to us. Even if you don't subscribe, you just go to dpnews.com. So I congratulate you on getting that article on your book.
Thank you.
Yay. I'm being able to start doing the therapeutic music again in the senior homes. That's really fantastic.
Yeah. It's very rewarding. I mean, I had a very financially, personally, rewarding career for 36 years. But what I did those 4 years at the hospital and what I do with music therapeutically, it's priceless. It's just so special.
It is. Okay. Wow. Well, thank you so much. And Erin Mae, was there anything in the way of questions for her in the chat?
No questions, but your Send in the Music fan club is well represented in the YouTube chat. So
Send in the Music family.
Yeah, it really is a great crew, huh?
It is. Oh yeah, love it. Yeah.
And for
3.5 years.
Yeah.
Plus more than that.
Yeah. For those who are following Erin Mae's travels, she's currently in what city?
Frankfurt, Germany.
Frankfurt, Germany. So we have international crew, West Coast, East Coast, and Europe. It's the golden age of mountain dulcimers. I tell you, it really is right now.
By the power of technology, we
Yeah.
can gather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've done it.
We have done it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to sign off now. Thanks again.
Thank
Carolyn.
you, DJ. Thank you, Erin. This was great.
Have a great week. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.